This painting is titled Shakuntala Removing a Thorn from Her Foot by Raja Ravi Varma. The painting seems innocent enough. A woman named Shakuntala removes a thorn from her foot while in a forest setting. Simple, right? But why is she looking in that direction and not at her foot? And why is her friend smiling so much? And look at her expression. Is she looking for something? Or for someone? What if I were to tell you that there's no thorn at all? Shakuntala is actually secretly looking for her lover. The subject of this painting is, of course, Shakuntala, an important female character from the Hindu epic the Mahabharata. Her story originates in the Mahabharata and is intertwined with the larger narrative. This story was adapted into a Sanskrit play by the ancient 5th century Indian poet and dramatist Kalidas. The Sanskrit play by Kalidas is titled Abhigyan Shakuntala, or The Recognition of Shakuntala. It is considered to be one of his best works. These sources inspired this oil painting. This painting is certainly not as innocent as it looks. It is in fact an iconic representation of romantic longing in Indian art. Shakuntala is a very interesting character from these Hindu texts. She is the daughter of a sage and Apsara. In Hindu mythology, an Apsara is a heavenly nymph of great beauty and is often represented as a dancer at the court of the god Indra. After a series of events, the baby Shakuntala is cared for by the sage Kanva and is raised in a forest hermitage. Hermitage refers to a place where religious people live on their own, away from society. It was also said that the baby Shakuntala was first found in the care and protection of birds in the forest. That is why her name, Shakuntala, loosely translates to bird-like or of the birds in English. Shakuntala grows up into a beautiful and graceful maiden. She is seen by the king of Hastinapur, King Dushyant, while he is hunting in the forest. The king falls in love with Shakuntala, and the feeling is mutual. They fall in love, they get married, they conceive a child. King Dushyant has to leave, but promises that he will come back for Shakuntala. But King Dushyant never returns. A pivotal moment of Shakuntala and King Dushyant's story occurs when Shakuntala later approaches King Dushyant at his court, but he refuses to recognize her as his lawful wife or their son as his heir. In the Mahabharata, Shakuntala has a very powerful reaction to him. She is outraged, angry, and she rebukes King Dushyant. But in the Kalidas play, she is more docile. Kalidas dramatizes the story even further in his adaptation by introducing a curse from a sage which made King Dushyant forget Shakuntala until he sees a lost signet ring. Shakuntala's story is more elaborately told in the Kalidas work, and the beauty of nature is heavily emphasized. The Shakuntala King Dushyant story is one of love, duty, separation, and finally reunion. After a series of different mystical events in both texts, King Dushyant and Shakuntala are reunited. Their story highlights the complexities of relationships. More importantly, Shakuntala's story connects both the earthly and spiritual realm. Raja Ravi Varma was driven by an obsession to paint gods, legends, and myths. In this piece, he depicts a moment in the early love story of Shakuntala and King Dushyant. In the painting, Shakuntala is depicted with her two friends, Anasuya and Priyavada. They are in a forest heading back to the forest hermitage. The painting has an abundance of life, with natural elements like trees, fauna, and flora. The posture of Shakuntala, the twisting of her body, and the turn of her head draws the viewer in. Shakuntala is portrayed as pretending to remove a thorn from her foot, but really she sees the opportunity to look for her lover, King Dushyant. Her expression is one of longing, searching for someone. Her friends seem to call her bluff and know exactly what she is doing. The action of supposedly removing a thorn from her foot is a playful shield as well. She wouldn't want the king to know that she longs for him, or does she secretly want him to know? This is up to the viewer to decide. This is one of several paintings where there is no jewelry on the heroine. In Raja Ravi Varma's most popular paintings, he has his female subjects in detailed sari drapes and intricate jewelry. Instead, Shakuntala and her friends can always be recognized. They have simple saffron garments with flower adornments, which is true to her story. Some offhandedly refer to this painting as Shakuntala looks back in love, or Shakuntala looks of love. The look of love is found in film, art, and design. And if you're lucky, life. It's a specific, affectionate, and lengthy gaze between two people, or by one person at another. This painting by Raja Ravi Varma portrays an ancient look of love. The delicate features, the soft colors, and the dreamy expression on Shakuntala's face makes this one of the most iconic representations of romantic longing. There is a subtle symbolism in this painting as well. The bent hermit figure in the background, who is walking away, represents an utter detachment with worldly concerns, whereas Shakuntala is the opposite. She looks back longingly, wanting an involvement with life and worldly concerns like love and the activity of human beings. Shakuntala's stance in this painting is reminiscent of gestures found in Indian classical dance. It is a dance movement, lifting the foot and pretending to remove a thorn. Raja Ravi Varma was born into an aristocratic South Indian family. He grew up studying Indian classic literature and languages, and he was very familiar with Indian classical dance. He has given Shakuntala a similar movement. Shakuntala was one of Raja Ravi Varma's major mythological muses. He created a series based on her. This was Raja Ravi Varma's first Shakuntala painting. In 1876, Raja Ravi Varma entered this painting, Shakuntala's love letter to Dushyant, in a Madras art exhibition. This painting and exhibition changed the course of his career and Indian art for the following decades. In the painting, Shakuntala, unable to contain her thoughts of King Dushyant, writes a love letter to him on a lotus leaf. It is in a forest setting, of course. She reclines on her stomach and her face is tilted up. Her friends, Anasuya and Priyavada, sit beside her looking on. There's also a deer in the background. Raja Ravi Varma was awarded first prize for this painting at that Madras exhibition. The painting is important because it was the first time in the long history of Indian art that a theme was taken purely from a literary source and put to an oil canvas. Artists before had created pieces on temples or in miniatures, but none had put Indian literature on an oil canvas in this manner. The realism of his pieces allowed the viewer to have a rapport with these usually larger-than-life, otherworldly beings. After the exhibition, the painting was bought by Lord Buckingham, the governor of Madras. To this day, the location of this original painting remains unknown. Shakuntala writing a love letter to King Dushyant is a theme that Raja Ravi Varma painted several times. He painted this version of Shakuntala writing a love letter, where Shakuntala is seated on a rock, contemplating what to write on the lotus leaf. He also painted this piece, titled Shakuntala's Impending Calamity, which I definitely want to discuss fully in another video in this series. There are other paintings in relation to Shakuntala's story as well. They include the story of her parents, her with King Dushyant, and her with her mother. But one of the most celebrated paintings of Raja Ravi Varma is this Shakuntala painting that is the focus of our discussion. Raja Ravi Varma's oil paintings were later made into very popular prints by him. In 1894, the Ravi Varma lithographic press was founded. The press had imported German machines and techniques to create both lithographs, oleographs, and advertisements like matchbox labels, picture postcards, and textile labels. The Shakuntala series of oil paintings was of course used as inspiration for these print forms as well. The first print to ever be produced by the Ravi Varma Press was based on an oil painting titled The Birth of Shakuntala. It was produced on the 12th of July 1894, and the choice seemed to be symbolic. It's important to remember the gravity of what Raja Ravi Varma actually did. Hindu mythology in the form of text was at the time accessible to only a very limited group of people, like the elite and scholars. Because of this, a large section of society were unaware of the many episodes in the text. This is where Raja Ravi Varma is credited. He brought these episodes in the form of paintings and prints to the everyday person. Visual images become the great equalizer and are perhaps the most powerful form of communication. There is an intrinsically democratic value embedded in visual imagery. If you want to see Shakuntala removing a thorn from her foot, the original painting is housed at the Sri Chitra Art Gallery in Trivandrum, Kerala. I had the opportunity to see this painting in person, and it was enchanting. Shakuntala's face, specifically her expression, was so interesting. It was so vivid. It's like you are watching her search for King Dushyant. I could stare at this painting for hours.